Thank you. Good evening. This is the regular board meeting for the Cleveland Heights University Heights City Schools District for the 9th of May, 2024. President Serini is out of town, so I will be leading in her stead. Mr. Gaynor, could we have the roll, please?
Mr. Hines.
Here.
Ms. Lewis.
Here.
Ms. Serini. Mr. Trimble. Here. Mr. Crenshaw.
Here.
Next, we have awards and recognitions. Superintendent Kirby?
Yes. Good evening and welcome. I'd like to begin tonight's meeting by recognizing our graduating cadre members. The superintendent cadre is a group of students that I have the pleasure of meeting with monthly to discuss a wide range of issues affecting them and their classmates. The group is extremely beneficial because I have an opportunity to really understand the student perspective on important district issues. I really have enjoyed watching our 6 seniors grow and become leaders over the last few years. One member of our cadre I've known since middle school, actually. And this is a bittersweet moment for me. It's very difficult for me to imagine not meeting with them monthly. I've always appreciated their candor, their judgment, their ability to see both sides of an issue, to really think about all of our students, even students who are interested in other things or maybe participate in other activities or have different realities. I want to note that the class of 2024 is the class that did not graduate from 8th grade. This will be celebration for them. This will be their first kind of commencement in secondary school. And we've had our challenges during COVID, and every time we had a district challenge, I would go back to the group and say, tell me what you think, what should we do, what are we getting wrong, what are we getting right, and what's needed. And they have always, always, always given me good counsel. Also, these seniors have been a really great model for the younger underclassmen. We have quite a few underclassmen in cadre now, 9th graders. Some of those students came from middle school cadre to the high school cadre. And I just always love to see when they speak how the other students listen. Like, you definitely have that senior presence in the room. I just want the board and the community to know we have some extremely well-prepared, but really who, to me, capture the essence of leadership and service, who served on the cadre and who are graduating on May 30th. So I'm going to ask those students, we have 4 students here with us tonight, so please come up as I say your name and just stay in the front. We'll take a group picture. First is Kareem Azam. Next, Nia Baker. Not with us, but I would still like to acknowledge Kyra Bassett. Next, Margot Burke. Unable to be with us tonight, but still want to acknowledge Jordan Evans. And finally, Deshara Turner. So we will take a group picture.
Keep the old farts and get out of the way.
Next, we have our Tiger Team Members of the Month. For the month of April, this recognizes staff members who have gone above and beyond the call of duty and have been recognized by their their peers for their great work and contributions in our buildings. So, first, from the Board of Education, Joyce Bukovac. Come on up. As our math instructional specialist, Joyce has demonstrated exceptional leadership during this year's math curriculum pilot. Beyond this, she has spearheaded through creation of a math OST curated database, enriching student discourse. These achievements represent just a fraction of Joyce's remarkable contributions to our district over her 33 years of service at Heights. From Boulevard Elementary, Kyla Burks. Kyla is all about the students and not only works with them as a lunchroom non-paraprofessional, but spends time within the classrooms working with students on academics and behavior. She's a professional singer and has sung songs from Disney for some of our students. She is a much-loved member of Boulevard. From Canterbury Elementary, Dr. Wickton. Dr. Wickton models servant leadership for the building and has gone above and beyond in ensuring all our students and staff feel safe, welcome, valued, and appreciated. Her leadership has been instrumental in fostering the climate that we have. From Delisle Option Center, Dr. Christy Cooper. Dr. Christy is a fantastic human being who supersedes expectations when it comes to anticipating her students' needs. From Fairfax Elementary School, Geo Glander Bishop. Geo Glander is a dedicated paraprofessional at Fairfax. She has a great attitude, shows up to work every day, ready to work. She has many dedicated years at Fairfax, and her students come back each year better than the last. She is a team player and will help in any setting. Fairfax would not be the same without her knowledge and resiliency in the classroom. From Garrity, Kelly Cooper.
All right.
Come on in, Kelly Cooper.
Perfect timing.
Kelly Cooper is such a team player. You can see Kelly running around Garrity to help all teachers at any given time. If someone needs assistance, Cooper appears. We are lucky to have Kelly Cooper on our staff.
It's too perfect.
From Heights High School, Jemiah Greer. As a success coach, student teacher, and substitute teacher, Mrs. Greer maintains excellence and professionalism. She greets students with a smile and a positive, encouraging attitude that lets each student know she believes in their ability to achieve greatness. From Monticello, Anthony Provenzal. Mr. Provenzal has dedicated 40 years to teaching since I have been working with him for the last 2 years. I have witnessed him put the needs of students and teachers before himself. He treats all with kindness and high regard. From Noble Elementary School, Nicole Nalipa and Alexia Boyles. We have two winners. These teachers have gone above and beyond with their collaborative efforts. They have been instrumental in assisting the long-term sub with planning lessons and assessments. During TBT, they share instructional strategies that consistently support student growth and achievement. Both Nicole and Alexia believe in their team, students, and support staff. From Oxford, Jaron Jennings. Mr. J has an excellent rapport with the students at Oxford. He has taken the time out to get to know each student and build relationships with the families at Oxford. His dedication to our students is unparalleled. He is in attendance for every event. He is an excellent male role model for our students, and I am happy to have him in our presence. From Roxborough Elementary School, Malik Daniels. Mr. Daniels is an amazing teacher, mentor, and role model. He takes extra time to support his students, other teacher students, and other teachers. He goes above and beyond to support the school community. Mr. Daniels' teaching and mentoring are effective, impactful, and inspiring. From Roxborough Middle School, Wendy Ward Woodard. Wendy's leadership of Sunshine Committee this year has been flawless. She has made everyone in our building feel loved, seen, and appreciated throughout the year. Wendy supports all students through NGHS and Ladies of Leadership, as well as all staff as a union rep. She is truly an important part of the Rocksmith family. So if our winners could move to, and let's applaud Wendy. Do we applaud Wendy? Let's move to the center, and take our picture.
Thank you. Your timing was perfect.
So next, we will have our superintendent's cadre report.
It's the kind of meeting I like.
Good evening, Board of Education members, Superintendent Kirby, and Mr. Gaynor. My name is Margot Burke. I'm a senior at Heights High, and as members of the Superintendent Student Cadre, we're here to give a brief report about what's happening at Heights High. We're honored to be here this evening. Thank you for the opportunity. First, I'm going to tell you about our athletic teams and provide an update about several upcoming events at Heights High. The baseball team has just completed a successful senior night, beating former rival Lorraine 12-0 in 5 innings. The winning pitcher was senior Charlie West, who was also nominated GCC Player of the Month. Girls lacrosse has taken a big step forward. They are currently 9-7 and have picked up some big wins in the GCC. The team is led in scoring by freshman Amara Rodney, and they currently await their playoff draw. Boys volleyball concluded their season on a high note, defeating St. Martin de Porres on senior night in 3 sets. Track has had another exciting track season. This year, Heights High held the 40th annual Weingart Relays, hosting over 60 teams, which is the largest Weingart has been in quite some time, or possibly ever. Just a few weeks back, the boys track team won the Beechwood Invitational, and sophomore Javier Kerr won MVP honors. Boys tennis concluded their season on Monday. Sophomore Jet Lucadome won 2 matches at sectionals, marking the furthest a Heights Tigers singles player has ever advanced in recent history. Girls flag football had an exciting season. They capped off their season this past weekend in the championship tournament known as down at the Cleveland Browns Stadium. There's a lot of sports. Boys lacrosse has been reinvigorated with a new head coach, Brendan O'Malley. The group has had tons of energy and participation, and they have built a foundation upon which to build on the future. Softball participation was extremely high, with over 20 girls playing on the varsity team, and the Lady Tigers gave great effort and positivity throughout the season, and they will return many key players next season.
Thank you.
My name is Ashara Turner, and I'm a senior at Heights High. I will be sharing with you some of Heights happenings for both April and May. In April, Heights High students received 37 awards at the 2024 Greater Scholastic Art and Writing Competition and missed nearly 2,000 entries. The exhibition can be viewed in person at the Cleveland Institute of Art from May 18th through June 1st, and the 8 students who receive Regional Gold Key and Silver Key honors will move on to the national competition. The concerts, the IMD concluded the year with their spring finale concerts on April 25th and April 26th, which featured senior soloist Sophie Mueller performing The Lark Ascending by Ralph Vaughan Williams with the Heights High Symphony. Jazz Night took place on May 1st, which featured performances by the Heights High Jazz Ensemble, 5 student-led jazz combos, and the Roxborough Middle School Jazz Band. The Heights High Drama Club presented the high school edition of The Play That Goes Wrong on April 18th, 19th, and 20th in the main auditorium. The play featured seniors Nia Baker, Natalie Beer, Laurel Bisher, Polina Bistrova, Helena Duffy, Juliet Duffy, Sean Egbert, Arthur Schmiedel, and Sophie Chiscone. On Thursday, April 25th, seniors attended a job and trades fair with their English classes. The job and trades fair offered our graduating seniors an opportunity to learn about current job openings, trades, and apprenticeships. Students were able to ask questions to professionals, learn about required training, and network for their career choices. On April 21st, Heights High students had the opportunity to attend a forum at the City Club of Cleveland to listen to guest speakers and CHUH alum Gina Abercrombie Winstanley. Ms. Abercrombie Winstanley is currently the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer for the U.S. Department of State.
Hi, my name is Nia Baker and I am a senior at Heights High. Here are some updates for the month of May. AP testing begins on Monday, May 6th and will take place through Thursday, May 16th. On Thursday, May 7th, the first annual Avid Signing Day ceremony took place where 46 seniors proudly proclaimed where they would be attending college in the fall. The ceremony featured speeches by Avid valedictorian Alana Gaynor, class representatives Charlotte Benham, Treasurer Bonner, Gianni Mitchell, and Sydney Stevenson, teachers and Avid District Director Bob Swaggart. On Wednesday, May 8th at 6:30, seniors were recognized for their scholastic achievements and gifted scholarships from the Community and Heights Schools Foundations at the annual Senior Scholarship and Awards Night. This Friday, May 10th, the VMD, which I'm a part of, will conclude their performances for the year, with their spring concert in the Heights High Auditorium. The concert starts at 7 p.m. and tickets for admission are $5 at the door. The concert will feature a majority of pop music from the groups as well as student solos from the class of 2024. Some songs included Our Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen, Please Mr. Postman by the Marvelettes, and Dance the Night from Barbie. Heights High School is excited to honor 65 new inductees into the National Honor Society this school year. Everyone is invited to join the celebration on Tuesday, May 14th for a reception at 6:45 p.m. in the cafeteria and the ceremony at 7:30 p.m. in the main auditorium. The Heights High Gospel Choir will celebrate their 50th anniversary with a reunion concert at the high school on Saturday, May 25th at 7:30. Over 200 alumni from as far back as 1974 will join this reunion concert, which will be led by current director Sandra Dixon, class of 1981, and assisted by Bill Tarter, the English teacher who led the gospel choir when it began in 1974. Tickets are $10 for adults and $5 for students and adults 65 and older. Final exams for seniors will take place from May 20th through May 22nd. Final exams for 9th and 11th graders will take place from Tuesday, May 28th through Thursday, May 30th. Next, we would each like to speak about our experiences at Heights High School, or as a Heights High student, and as members of the superintendent's student cadre. I'm so glad I got to finish my education at Heights High School. I've met so many wonderful people that boosted my confidence, and I can't thank them enough. Not only that, but I've gotten so many opportunities to discover who I am and what I want to be in the future that I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else. Student cadre gave me the ability to communicate what could be improved in the school setting. I'm so fortunate to have the opportunity to work with such amazing people who listen to not only my ideas, but others as well. Thanks especially to Ms. Adams and Superintendent Kirby for everything they provided me with. I'm a proud member of Tiger Nation now and forever.
Hi, my name is Kareem Azam and I'm a senior at Cleveland Heights High School. My experience as a Cleveland Heights High School student and as a member of Superintendent's cadre has been nothing short than remarkable. Heights has given me many numerous qualities that have shaped the man that I am today, and for that I am eternally grateful. Heights has been a huge part of my life, and the community that is Tiger Nation is definitely one that you would want standing behind you in support. My time in superintendent cadre is greatly appreciated. The collaboration between the superintendent and the students just goes to show how important it is for the district to speak to students and give us a platform to voice our opinions. As I embark on the next part of my academic journey at American University in Washington, D.C., I will continue to cherish the lessons that I've learned while at Heights High, and especially the ones in superintendent cadre. And with that, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to the board, Superintendent Kirby, and to everyone who has made Cleveland Heights University Heights what it truly is, remarkable. Thank you.
I will always speak highly of the superintendent student cadre and of Heights High. The cadre puts us in a unique position to be listened to and consulted by administration. I've always felt respected and valued and listened to, which is not always the case in groups like this. I felt supported like that throughout all my 12 years in this district. There's never been a moment where the adults in this district did not wholeheartedly support me in everything that I did. I'm attending the United States Military Academy next year, and I'm so lucky to have been brought up in a district that prepared me for that experience by teaching me discipline, compassion, teamwork, and motivation.
Looking back at my experience at Heights High, I can truly say it has made such an impact on my future. I have gained so much knowledge and gained so many skills throughout the last 4 years. I've made bonds and relationships with so many teachers that have enabled me to improve for my future. Initially, when starting the superintendent's cadre, I was nervous because there were upperclassmen looking at me through a screen. Throughout the next 4 years, the cadre has made me feel important and valued within my environment and district. I was using the ability to communicate for students who were afraid to communicate for themselves. The cadre will forever hold a special place in making me the student that I am and how I choose to inspire and motivate others and what they have done for me, which I will be doing at the University of Cincinnati.
All right. Well, I don't know what to say. I truly believe that the greatest lessons in our lives as an educator comes from students. So I thank you all for teaching me and teaching us how to continue to do better and more for kids so you all can realize your dreams. Just know that you've really left an indelible impact that you don't even know and realize that other students will benefit from. And I know that we will be seeing each other, but I just want to officially thank you because these next 3 weeks are going to fly by and you'll be doing lots of things and we probably won't have time to connect as much. But I truly thank you all for your service because it has been service over the past 4 years. Take it.
Yes.
Next up, we have statements from the audience, but no one has signed up. Is there anybody? Nope. Okay. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to consider the consent agenda, please?
I motion that we consider the consent agenda. I second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments about parts of the consent agenda?
I did have a couple small things. One of them, the MOU with EAPSC regarding a new position. I did send an email after the packet went out, just to clarify, and Liz, if you could maybe speak to this, the nature of the new position as a replacement or that's budget implications and all of that.
So there are two parts to it. One is in the current EAPSC contract, we have a coordinator position that is a student services coordinator position. But we wanted to have something that is more specific to the nature of the role that we are seeking to add, which is why we have the MOU, because whenever we have a new position, we have to have a memorandum of understanding with the APSC. So the curriculum coordinator position actually is we've had, in the past, we have had coordinators who did that kind of work. And just over time, as there's just been different organizational changes, that position has been eliminated. But we are electing to bring that back for a couple of reasons. One, we are in the midst of both a literacy adoption and a math adoption. And we will need a position that has someone who has an authority that goes beyond a teacher's authority to make administrative decisions, to lead visioning and the institutionalization of systems and structures. We have some pretty ambitious work that we're going to be engaging in around visible learning and teacher clarity. And we also want to really make sure that we provide that support not only at all grade levels from an administrative perspective. So this will allow us to better support all of our schools and all of our leaders, and also support, our current instructional specialists as well. We never want them to be in a position where they are making decisions or doing things that are outside of what their job role is. So by adding the curriculum coordinator position, we'll be able to bring a little more alignment, clarity, and support to the department. So that's why.
Yeah, thank you. Other questions I had, the one, as I was going through the donations, which are all, always generous and love to thank, I was particularly impressed by the number of instruments that we had donated, particularly coming hot on the heels.
Right,
of-
the timing.
Yeah, exactly, which couldn't have been in response to that, I wouldn't think, just based on, I should look at the dates, shouldn't I?
I think that perhaps one of our,
There was
or more of our teachers
Mhm.
put out a call on social media
Yeah.
inviting people to clean out their closets at the benefit of our students. So-
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. But the one that I had a question on, and I don't expect you to know it right off the top of your head, the Monticello Middle donation of $1,021.40. When I clicked in and looked at it, it's actually a refund for funds raised for a school trip. And so I just thought it was interesting. It looks like it goes into the principal's fund. Ideally, I feel like if it was students raising the money or families raising the money, it'd be nice to see that money follow that class for other things, but I didn't know if you had any background.
I'm not
to
sure.
put
I don't know if
pressure
it's
on.
like a refund from the DC trip.
It was the
I
vendor,
kind of feel like
yeah.
it might be that.
It's hard
Mm-hmm.
because it's hard to have donations when people, and you can speak to this better than I can, but my understanding is that when people donate to something like, let's say, the DC trip, I think it sort of has to be earmarked toward that or toward the school sending the kids. Am I?
Correct, and generally for all students that are participating in that versus a single student. But this one in particular, I don't know the details about, so we can look into what that is, but that sounds like that's
Yeah.
the case, yeah.
Yeah, my kid's at Monty, so I see Monticello and I'm like, oh, what's this?
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
extra attention.
We'll look at that.
And I think that's it for me on the consent agenda.
Anybody else?
The only thing that came to my mind is as we talk about the curriculum supervisor, a few months back, we talked about our hope. I brought up, and I think that I can now say our hope, that we can incorporate K through 12 curriculum related to gun safety and helping our students survive in a world where there are so many guns in so many homes. So I hope that that can become a task of our curriculum, to weave that into perhaps our health curriculum or wherever it maybe makes sense.
I was actually just talking to Coach Robo this afternoon, and he was talking about, he's doing the Heimlich training, CPR for babies, CPR for adults, a couple other things. So, I can see, in a health unit, he has a unit on, the negative impact of drug, a lot of things like that. So we can look into, we have looked into that. We continue to look into that.
I want to congratulate the members of our teaching staff who are earning tenure, because that's always a good milestone. One other thing, I can't find it. So it can't have been that important. Anything else? Mr. Gaynor, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Trimble?
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw?
Yes.
And now, turn it over to Superintendent for your report.
So as we get ready to project, I first just want to start by acknowledging that this is Teacher Appreciation Week. It began on May 6th and goes through the end of the week. Also on Monday was our Bus Driver Appreciation Day. As you all know, we celebrate all of our school staff over the course of the year. There's different designated days. This week, schools have a lot of activities going on as well to celebrate our teachers. I just want to say thank you to our teaching staff for their consistent, dedicated, diligent work with students. We know that we're in a society right now that doesn't necessarily honor teachers or honor the profession. And I just want our staff to know and families to know how important and how thankful we are for the work that teachers do every day. A week really doesn't capture it. A day doesn't capture it for our staff and our other positions as well. But we will continue to fight for strong public education and support teachers in their work. We're holding focus groups right now for both teachers and our staff, just because we want to get feedback on things we can do to better serve our staff, better support our staff to help them achieve their goals in the whole district. So that's also really important. But I don't want to, I know we'll mention this again in June, but I do want to capture that this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. Our communications department has really captured just wonderful, wonderful statements from parents and families and students. So please take a look at that if you haven't, where they give their personal stories of how much they appreciate teachers and things that they've done. There was a parent that reached out to me this week and wrote just a lovely letter about Mr. Jake, who is a preschool teacher at Garrity, and how excited her child is every day to see Mr. Jake, and is so appreciative that Mr. Jake shares his lunch, and Mr. Jake talks about things that are happening in the classroom, and Mr. Jake checks up on him, and he just really just embodies this enthusiasm because of that energy that the teacher brings every day. And the parent just talked about the transformation that her child took from the beginning of the year to the end of the year because of the love and care of the teacher. And I really think that captures the essence of why we are so thankful and proud of our teachers and how important they are. So, happy Teacher Appreciation Week. And so now I'll move forward with our updates from April. So we are into math, I just had to say that, professional learning. Thank you again to the board for approving our new math curriculum. We have really gotten the process going. Dr. Jenkins and his team training teachers, really starting to immerse them in the material so that we can have a strong start to next year. We also have professional learning planned in August, September, and March as well. We're also very proud of 3 of our teachers who are national trainers for AVID this summer. So AVID is a nationwide program that brings together hundreds and thousands of teachers from across the country. They have these wonderful summer institutes where you have the top AVID teachers across the country leading the sessions. Leah Radke, Brian Morrison, and Sean Washington will be leading AVID sessions this summer at the AVID Summer Institute. So we are very proud of that. Coupled with that, we had AVID Signing Day, which the students discussed during their report. That was held on May 7th in the high school auditorium, where students shared their next steps as they prepare to graduate. The FAFSA. So April 15th to 19th was the National FAFSA Week of Action, and both the state and the federal government really have been pushing out lots of information because there have been some challenges with the FAFSA rollout. I do want to shout out Bob Swagger, Taisha McEwen, and our high school counselors who, because of their efforts, we really are starting to see more of our kids complete the FAFSA, even though there was a delay. We will continue to push that as kids graduate because there is a direct correlation with FAFSA completion and students' enrollment in either four-year college, two-year college, and also career training programs. FAFSA is needed for all those pathways. We want to make sure that our kids are not negatively impacted by the FAFSA rollout. I will say that there's a report that comes from the Ohio Department, or the Department of Education and Workforce, or maybe it's something else. But we are in Cuyahoga County, like number 12 in the county for our FAFSA completion. So we are really moving our number, but we want to just make sure that we can help kids catch up and not get kind of caught up due to some of the delayed rollout from the federal government. Another exciting piece is our College and Career Associate Degree Program. So just to give some perspective, last year we had 31 students that were interested coming out of 8th grade. This year it is 62 students interested in this pathway coming out of 8th grade. And in my mind, this connects to, I think that people are starting to understand how, this pathway really could be big college savings for families if students can get 2 years under their belt, and then only have to pay for 2 years for a 4-year college. So we're really excited that the interest is really growing tremendously. And so the students are going through the process of not only application, but also placement as well. Connected to College and Career Readiness, the Senior Job and Trades Fair was held on Thursday, April 25th, 2004. We had over 40 employers there to recruit, interview, and talk to students about some opportunities to go from high school directly into the workforce. The team has already started planning for the fair next year, which is on May 1st. We also, as we move forward, we have, as mentioned, 37 students who won awards during the Scholastic Art and Writing Competition. Sarah Cooper, their teacher, has described this as a very prestigious art show, and so it's quite an honor for students to be accepted into it all. And also, I know a lot of board members had an opportunity to stop by Lee Road to see the Creative Arts District Art Show as well, where we had work from our 7 elementary schools, middle schools, and the high school on display. Last month, we also received and celebrated that our 2 schools, Monticello Middle School and Boulevard Elementary School, won the Momentum Award from the state of Ohio based on their value-added progress, performance, and performance index performance. On April 27th, we had a wonderful family leadership luncheon that was organized by Lisa Hunt and Nancy Pepler. At this luncheon, we had parent leaders from across different organizations, not only the PTA, but also parents who are active in athletics, parents who are active in just supporting students in the school and the district who are always sharing best practices and ideas, some folks from Reaching Heights. So we had a really frank and interesting conversation about communication, initiatives, opportunities to enhance two-way communication. There was also an opportunity for the team to sample some of the AVI food. They had a food tasting because there had been a survey about the food that has been sent out and some concerns have been raised, and so AVI was able to present what they offer and to provide that information to the parents. We held coffee with the superintendent at Roxborough, seems like a long time ago, on April 11th. And we talked a lot about cell phones there in the middle schools, as that was a key part of the conversation, kind of a precursor to the middle school meetings that we're having right now. Please mark your calendars for May 17th when we will be having our Heights Family Resource Center opening at Delisle. We are only soliciting cash donations to the Heights Family Resource Center through the Heights Schools Foundation, so they will be housing any donations that people want to make for that. Also on April 4th, there was a very interesting dyslexia simulation that was held at Delisle. I had the opportunity to rotate through some of the stations. And it was really helpful to understand what the experience of a student or adult with dyslexia is, how challenging that is, how frustrating that experience was. It was really very, very eye-opening. It's something I want to talk with our team about, providing more teachers an opportunity to experience as well. You just felt like you couldn't do anything almost, the way that they have it set up. All right. Got a long report this week. Our Safe Schools Advisory Committee held its second meeting, and there we talked specifically about both the Yonder bags, and we also talked a bit about the pros, cons, and implications of metal detectors. No decision or recommendation in terms of any kind of screening, but we want to just kind of continue the conversation. So to see if we want to present to the board a recommendation to have the opportunity to have as needed metal detector screening beyond athletic events. So that will continue. We also looked at the Yonder bag support for the middle schools and unanimously agreed that is something that we thought should be implemented at the middle schools.
Could you briefly, sorry not to interrupt, can you briefly just explain what Yonder bags are for
Yes.
the audience?
So Yonder bags are cell phone pouches that are kind of made of like strong felt. People may have seen this at like athletic events or concerts where they don't want people to use cell phones. So you slide your bag into the pouch, you close it, it locks automatically. When you conclude the event, it gets unlocked by someone who has the key to unlock that. So we've seen this tool in place at several schools in the area. I know that a lot of other districts are considering its implementation next year as well. So I've been looking at that tool. So it's a cell phone pouch.
Thank you.
It's a long way to say that, sorry. All right. We are also in the midst of our finalists for our different teacher recognition, administrative recognition, helping hand recognition, and Rookie of the Year recognition. So we have 4 Rookie of the Year finalists, actually 4 across all 4 areas. I hope I can read this. These glasses. So we have 4. I won't read these, but we have 4 finalists across all of the areas, and we will announce the winners during our staff awards ceremony on May 24th. We will also be honoring our retirees, tenured teachers, and those staff who have presented at state or national conferences this year. So, in terms of, there's just a couple of upcoming events I want to highlight. May continues to be a very, very busy month. So on May 18th, we have the Tiger 5K and Fun Run, run like it's recess. That's happening on the morning of May 18th at the high school. The Kindness Festival was held on May 5th at Beechwood, so we were a partner there with Cinders Pediatrics. Heights Middle School Shorts are holding their auditions on May 18th. That is the middle school film camp, and that will be at the Coventry Village Branch Library from 11:45 to 2:15. Kids Blast at Coventry is happening on June 1st from 12 to 4. Registration is also open and continues to stay open for the Reaching Heights Summer Music Camp, June 10th through the 15th. There are also many other end-of-the-year events that are happening. I really encourage parents to make sure that they are reading the weekly bulletins coming from the schools. We have lots of celebrations, lots of picnics, lots of fun happening, especially that last week in May. So I'm not going to read through all these upcoming events here. I do want us to, I'll conclude just by sharing our monthly PBIS Spotlight, which shows the PBIS work at Monticello Middle School.
Grace, and I am the district representative. I'm really excited about our PBIS program here at Monticello. They like the structure of our classroom. They like the way that we use Monty money, with Dr. J's face on it, to remind them when they're being open-minded, being caring, being safe. And they also are very excited about our attendance incentives. They're excited about the Tiger Store that we just did today. And I really think it's just an important part of our culture here.
I'm Mr. Jacob, the Grace Spirit of Monticello Middle School. I believe in PBIS. Faith and respect. Not only that, also improving how
we review the Tiger expectations for the hallways and the classroom upon entering. I found it helpful to have them right here when they first come in, so that, you know, if I have to go down to a verbal warning or a reteach of expectations, that the expectations are right there next to the rewards and consequence sheet.
Our schools in CHUH are in the process of applying for Tier 1 PBIS bronze recognition. But that is not why we do this work. We do the work because we recognize the critical role that PBIS implementation plays in achieving steady, positive results in academic outcomes.
And that concludes the superintendent's update.
Thank you.
Could I ask one thing about, that was mentioned? I would love for us, maybe Kathan and Bob can team up on this, but we have so many kids who are earning college credit at this point that, you know, I would love to include the annual dollars saved
Yeah.
as one of our highlighted data points. You know, we brag a lot about the amount of money that our senior class has been offered in scholarship money. And that's wonderful, and we should be bragging about that because our kids and our teachers do incredible work that is worthy of that attention. But this is money that our kids have actually put in their pocket. So I would love for that to be highlighted.
Perhaps along with that, maybe also sharing the number of credits.
Right.
Because that is also a metric, and maybe even liken it to the number of degrees that could be earned. I mean, for an associate's, it takes about 60. For a bachelor's, it's about 120, so.
Yes, we can definitely do that.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so we next have the second reading of policies, Group C.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
No action is needed for this, but this is, we call this a second reading of Board Policy C. So there are 15 board policies, and our policy about reading board policies is we have 3 readings before the final. So this is our second reading, and I'm here to answer any questions. All the policies are in board docs.
Well, thank you for having clean versions this time around, because it made it a lot easier to read.
Excellent.
Because sometimes when you're trying to compare old version and new version, it can get confusing.
How many groups do we have?
Well, this will be the third group. This will be the final group, and then there is most likely a couple policies coming out this summer that'll need to be approved by August 1st. So then we'll just bring more back. But yep, this should be the final for this year.
Just to let people know sort of how sometimes this happens, we have a legislature that loves to engage in public education, as they should. I mean, they should have a small role. But so a law will get passed by the legislature, and then it will go to a department called the Legislative Service Commission, and the Legislative Service Commission will create policy that is intended to be implemented in order to make sure that schools are in compliance with the new law. And so those are the sorts of things that we are adopting when we're adopting these policies. There's two general providers of the formal policy in Ohio. We tend to use Neola, I believe.
Yes.
However, the Ohio School Boards Association also provides a similar service. And that's what we're adopting. And there's usually just very minor updates, but we like to stay current. It's, just sort of a housekeeping thing that we feel is important. Thank you, Paul.
Sure. One that's coming up is the Title IX policy will be updated, and that'll have to be done by August 1st.
Because the federal government finally released its updated guidance, I think is the term they use, right?
Right, so Neola is working diligently to try to provide us with a template. And if we get that by June, we'll have to get that implemented by August 1st. Okay. All right, next month I'll come, go ahead, please.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I said next month I'll come back with the final reading of these policies.
Just real quick, on employment of substitutes, the one term that's highlighted in green that kind of jumped out at me is pre-service teaching permit. I'm curious as to how one acquires that and what the scrutiny and how big of a hoop is that to jump through?
A pre-service, I'll have to research that for you.
So the usual, at least when I had one, it was when I was doing my student teaching. Usually that's what it means. And you'll do a background check through BCI, which is the same thing that all teachers and volunteers and coaches and that sort of thing. And it just make sure that you have the qualifications, that you have a university supervisor that's involved in your student teaching experience as well.
Yeah,
That's what it was, a few years ago when I started out.
Yeah, I know that substitutes are always, not always, can be a challenge to have the right amount of at the right time and all of that, so, just definitely jumped out at me.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the treasurer's report. Mr. Gaynor?
All right, excuse me, thank you. So we have our three things for the month of May. I did look back, so it's been 2 years now. May of '22, we started doing three things, so there are a total after tonight, 66 things out on the website if people want to see it, because we missed 2 months, so.
Which means that people
lot of
are
good
going to
things out
become
there.
very well-versed in school finance.
Absolutely. So for those who haven't been to a board meeting before or seeing this for the first time, so three things is really just a way for us to take school funding and school finance items and try to make them into kind of small digestible items that people can understand or help build capacity to inform and educate stakeholders regarding district finances in school funding in Ohio. So the first thing we have, and we've touched on this a couple of times with previous three things, more so in terms of how do I make a public record request if I want to do that. But there's been a lot of scrutiny with the Ohio Public Records Act and Public Records Law. We talked a little bit about that the last time as well with folks that are coming forward with these public record requests for various things and sunshine law violations, and so there's been a lot of focus on this at the OASBO annual conference this year. There were several sessions related specifically to the Ohio Public Records Act. So just wanted to kind of do a little deeper dive or revisit a couple of concepts from the Ohio Public Records Act and Public Records Law so that it would be memorialized in our three things, and people could go back and refer to those. So the first thing is the Ohio Public Records Act, which is in Ohio Revised Code Section 149.43. There's a link there that takes you right to that for those of you who want to go and read all of that detail. It gets into a lot of specifics there in terms of the Ohio Public Records Act, but really what it does is as you see here at kind of the summary, it details what is a public record, the obligations of a public record office regarding records, and then the rights and obligations of a public records requester. And then you will also see that we have a section of the CHUH website dedicated to public records information, which again, this is a link directly to that on our website, but it has links to the process of how to make a public records request and various components of that. So that is thing one. along those same lines, and in the same vein, we have the public record definition as thing two. So this is what a lot of the professional development was around with public records law. What is a public record? And so this, was this I'll call him a bad actor, who was making all these public record requests, specifically trying to trip districts up in terms of what was being retained and what wasn't. And so it's just important for all of us to remember that a public record is any document, device, or item, regardless of physical form or characteristic, created or received by any public office which serves to document the organization, function, policy, procedure, operations, or other activities of the office. So, again, it can be electronic, it can be a piece of paper. It must also document, again, the procedures, organization, or function of the public office or the organization. So, for example, if I send an email to Dan and, ask him to lunch, that's not a public record. If I have personal notes that I'm taking, as long as I don't share that with someone else, those are my personal notes, that's not a public record. But any other kind of a document, if I send something to Gabe and we're discussing some item on the agenda or something like that, or I text her about that, that is a public record. So anyway, it's just important to know that there are a lot of distinctions there in terms of what may or may not be a public record. So the Ohio Sunshine Law Manual is linked in here, which kind of goes through a lot of examples of what that might look like. But it can be, again, a document. It can be something electronic. In fact, more often than not these days, it's electronic versus a document.
Right, so
Yes, ma'am.
our personal notes are not
Are
a
your
public
personal
record.
notes,
But were I to photocopy them and give them to someone else, then that would be
That is correct.
opening up the public records problem.
Absolutely, yes. Any other questions on that, or?
I'm interested as you being the kind of the, I don't want to say first line of defense, you being the initial recipient of a request.
Yes.
How many in a given year do you typically get?
Well, it varies based on the year and what's happening in the district. But like this year has actually been a pretty light year. I would say we've probably had maybe 50-ish. But, there are times when we've had well over 100 or more. And it's some of them are very simple, like if someone is very specific, requesting, I want this document, they know what it is, they ask for it, we provide it. But many of them are, I want every email for, during this time period, from this person to this person, and then we have to go back and say, no, that request is overly broad, we need to narrow that down. What specifically are you looking for? And so a lot of times IT gets involved, HR gets involved often, someone will request someone's personnel file. And so that's a public record where that requires you to redact,
Right.
all information, because not everything is public record in terms of employee home addresses or social security numbers or those kinds of things. So someone has to go through and redact all of those sensitive types of information from the personnel file, and then we provide that. So some are very simple, some are very complex. So it depends. But we do spend a significant amount of time on public record requests, so. I can tell you that as as I'm looking at Dr. Lombardo. I mean, there's a lot, and it's unfortunate because I feel like often many of the public records requests we get really don't result in anything or don't really give people what they're looking for. And in the case of the person who was sending around to districts, a lot of it was just kind of a nuisance request where they were trying to make money by trying to catch districts not complying with public records law. So,
Garner fines and.
yeah, exactly, because there are consequences if you don't. But, we we have our log, we do log them. You can request them electronically, but you can also request records anonymously. Someone could send me an anonymous email and say, I want this, and leave it at the front desk and just in an envelope, and I may never know who asked for those records. And so that happens occasionally, but not often. But yeah, there's a lot to that. But and oftentimes we have to get legal counsel involved, depending on the complexity of the record. And so there's a cost to that to the district, not a cost that we are able to pass on to the requester. It's just what we have to do, so.
Does the number of public records requests vary with where we are in the levy cycle?
Yes, yes, it does.
And
So,
contract cycle.
Why am
and
I not?
contract cycle.
And, yes, of
So,
course.
you know, more often than not, public records requests have to do with either union negotiations or levies. So in particular, when we're, you know, at a point in a levy cycle where we're asking community for funds, we get just many, many public record requests. And, you know, the good thing is many of them are repeats and duplicates, so we're able to just, you know, once we have one, you know, I want the superintendent's contract, you know, we have it and we just, you know, are able to provide that as often as we need to.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And the last item is just that we do have a records retention schedule, and so we are required to keep records for a certain period of time, and we have that approved by the Ohio Historical Society, so they have to go through, and the auditor of state has to look at our records retention schedule, make sure some records we're required to keep forever, some we can get rid of after 7 years or 14 years, it just depends. So this is a link to the records retention schedule, so if anyone wants to go and see how long we're required to keep a certain document, and we try to provide reference to the records retention schedule every time we respond to a public record request, so people can see that. But and interestingly, Karen is there in the back, I see. She was, she coincidentally came to me today, and she's like, there's something that's missing, I think, from our public record request about the number of years we need to keep psychological evaluations for students, and so that's something that we need to go back and revisit and make sure it's included in our, it's something that's in a template, but we don't have it in the CHUH one, so we need to go back and do that. But there is a schedule there for anyone who wants to go and see that.
Well, anytime you can destroy my transcript from high school, please feel free.
Sorry, Dan, we have to keep
Sooner
that
the better.
forever.
Scott, I'd like to make a request.
No doubt.
Typically in January, you request permission for whatever it is that is allowed to be destroyed, right? There's a
Correct.
cycle to this.
There is a cycle.
Right.
So in January, we have a Records Commission meeting, which will
Right.
be the superintendent and the board president, myself. We have any requests that have come forward for destruction of records, and we compare that to the records retention schedule, make sure that we can do that. And then we have to submit that request to the Ohio Historical Society. They have to approve of it, and then we can destroy the records. So there's a whole long, drawn-out
So
process.
Dan,
for
we're
that as well.
keeping your high school transcript
no.
for a while.
So, at any rate, so that's out there, and as I said, there is a whole section out on the website that is displayed prominently for public records requests where people can submit their requests electronically if they want to do that. And one of the previous three things where we talk about that process, there's also a link to a presentation I think we did during COVID where we talked about the number of public record requests we get
Mhm.
and those kinds of things. So that's out there as well for people to take a look at.
Great.
That's it for me.
Thank you. Okay, next up is the board vice president's report, since I'm going to pretend to be Jody today. As has been noted, this is the time of year when everyone is very busy in the district, and the school board is no exception. So in April, beginning of April, the board spellers competed in the Reaching Heights Spelling Bee at Heights High. Thank you, Phil, for stepping up.
Yeah. And,
You know that now there will be expectations of you.
Yeah, and Beth McClellan for joining
And
us.
yes, so she made up our third, and we lasted until the fifth round, which is honorable.
I think that's a record.
Very stressful.
It's, yeah, we've never made it past the fifth round as a
Was it the
board
fifth?
team.
Are you sure it was the fifth? Was it the fifth?
It was the fifth.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then, of course, MSAN and the
Right.
library battled it
The
out.
Dewey Decimators.
Dewey Decimators, right. So
Yeah,
they
they're always
battled it
tough.
out at the end.
They're always tough.
But, so we're very proud of MSAN for making it as far as they did. I also attended the coffee with the superintendent at Rocks Mid. The conversation about cell phone usage was very interesting. On the 17th of April, I participated in Honesty for Ohio Education's retreat in Columbus. CHUH has been an Honesty partner for a number of years as a result of our advocacy against Ed Choice vouchers and against legislation restricting what is taught in social studies classes in particular. So that's a valuable partnership. They have changed executive directors and are looking to grow their organization, and I'm hopeful that that will help us as well in the future. All 5 board members attended the Cleveland Heights Teachers Union 80th anniversary celebration at the Western Reserve Historical Society. It was a wonderful venue and a terrific event. Thank you, CHTU, for inviting us. That was part of, we really do value our teachers. Their work is irreplaceable. April 24th, the League of Women Voters hosted a webinar called Solving the Teacher Shortage, Keeping Public Schools Strong. While there's no magic bullet to fix the state and national teacher shortage, we must start with reinstituting respect for the teaching profession. Reducing the standards required to become a teacher is not the answer and will not improve student outcomes. So I encourage community members to ask Representative Gail Manning, chairwoman of the House Primary and Secondary Education Committee, not to pass Senate Bill 168 out of committee. This bill was passed by the Senate. It's now being considered by the House. It would greatly reduce the requirements for becoming a teacher in Ohio, and honestly, I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think it does the profession or the students any good. I caught the tail end of the Family Leadership Food Survey event. I was very interested to learn about all of the constraints and regulations which AVI must follow in order to provide food for our students. And my takeaway was that the students would appreciate hearing why things are the way they are. And doing some sort of a presentation at the beginning of the school year in the buildings might be very helpful for the kids, all of them. And it would really show them that, the reasons AVI does what they do, and it puts things into context. On the 2nd of May, we had a first meeting of the Rising Star program at Tremco. Tremco is a international company that manufactures construction materials, and they have a headquarters here in Cleveland. The Rising Star program is an after-school program which gives high school students hands-on experiences, pathways, and first steps into careers in the architecture, construction, and engineering fields. This is another meaning for the acronym ACE. And one of the presenter's slides said, "All roads lead to heights." Mm-hmm. And I'm very optimistic that this could become an opportunity for our students next school year. And I am sure that Mr. Swaggart is on that. So the next few weeks are going to be even busier than the past few. The superintendent has already mentioned the opening of the Heights Family Resources Center at Delisle, the Tiger 5K and Fun Run at the high school on the 18th of May. I was asked to encourage my board mates to volunteer. If you're not interested in running the 5K, they would love to have us do other things. If your teeth hurt, you cannot concentrate on anything else, which is why it is so important that as part of our partnership with Metro Health, the Heights Wellness Center now provides dental exams, cleanings, and sealants for any student in the district.
Cool.
If x-rays or fillings are needed, students get a referral to an outside dental clinic because they can't do x-rays or actual drilling and filling at the high school. There have already been 30 students seen by the dental clinic. This is amazing. And if you cannot see well, you cannot learn at all, which is why I'm excited about a new partnership, which has just begun, with Vision to Learn. Vision to Learn provides vision screening and glasses for every child who needs them, and they will be working district-wide starting in the fall. They have served every student at Oxford already, and the students who were identified as needing glasses at Oxford will be receiving them at a glasses party on the 23rd of May. They will also provide, Vision to Learn, that is, will also provide free replacement glasses for students who lose their specs or break them because children, right? They will also provide glasses for students who bring in a recent prescription. Let's say you got your eyes checked and you haven't had the opportunity yet to get the glasses because they cost a ton of money. You can come with that prescription and get a free pair of glasses.
Students only, right?
Students. I know.
I
Okay.
haven't.
All right, staff awards ceremony, we've already discussed. That's on Friday, the 24th of May. Tiger Nation will be marching in the University Heights Memorial Day Parade on Monday, the 27th of May. And then we have Monty Middle School's farewell ceremony on Tuesday, the 28th. Roxborough Middle's promotion ceremony on Wednesday, the 29th. Those are both at the high school, which makes me very happy because I love having younger students come to the high school for any excuse. And this is a fantastic excuse. And then graduation, Thursday, the 30th of May at the Wolstein Center. And that's when we all get to have the time of our lives. So that's it for me. Next up, we have board committee reports. Have any committees met?
I'll just give a quick update. So I had the opportunity to attend the student scholarship ceremony yesterday. And so the Heights Athletic Boosters did give a scholarship to a well-deserving student. But it was just so amazing to see the community support our students. So I'm really just thankful and grateful that we have a community who supports our students in this way. And I even commented to my husband that we need to start a family scholarship for our students. So,
Cool.
Yeah, so it was really good to see all of the seniors and the families and the community members as they gave a little background about their scholarships and why they decided to do it, and then the well-deserving seniors as well.
Great. Anybody else?
I had the honor of being invited to participate in the baseball team's senior day events, and it was fantastic. There are 7 seniors graduating from the baseball team, and 3 will be playing college ball.
Wow.
Which is the largest number I'm aware of ever. So that was fantastic, and it was a real honor to be part of that. I also wanted to add one event, which is June 2nd. The Noble Library will be celebrating its grand reopening, which is fantastic, and we are certainly excited about that. Looking forward to that event and looking forward to having that incredible new facility completely online. And what a nice shot in the arm that will be for the entire community. It's a really exciting day. We are so very, very fortunate to have such a fantastic public library system in Cleveland Heights University Heights. So those are the 2 little ditties I wanted to add.
Thank you. Thank you. Any new business?
Yes. So as many of you all know, one of the reasons that I decided to run for this office or this position was I saw the opportunity to add some cultural competency to our board, and to give a perspective that aligns more closely with our student demographics and our families. And one of the things that I spoke about, even as a parent, was the need to rename Monticello Middle School. If you are not aware, Monticello, as we say it here in Ohio, is Monticello, which is the forced labor camp owned by Thomas Jefferson. And so there is no such thing as a benevolent enslaver. They are forced labor camps where Africans were kidnapped and enslaved for perpetuity. And perhaps many people cannot identify with this. Perhaps maybe their family came over here 1 or 2 generations ago. But I can actually trace my family back to the 1870 census to a county in Virginia. And I'm sure if I were to be able to go a couple census back, they would be listed as someone's property on their tax document. And so for us to have an educational institution that is 85% Black, named after this forced labor camp, is anti-Black, it upholds white supremacist ideals, and it really doesn't show who we are as a community when we say, our cities where all is welcome and, just like home, or, I'm sorry. So therefore, I move that by the regular board meeting on June 4th, 2024, that the superintendent will define the process and the treasurer will identify the cost implications for the consideration of renaming Monticello Middle School.
I can't repeat that back as eloquently, but I'm so moved. All right, second, rather.
So the motion is for the superintendent and the treasurer to figure out a process and a cost. Is that correct?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand that, yeah.
I want to keep this conversation going. When I have brought it up before, as a parent, the pushback for it was, well, how much would this cost? And what's the process? So I would like to keep it going, and I would like to have those questions answered so that we can move to rename it.
So this last summer, I met Gabe for the first time. I was thinking about running for school board and had not yet pulled petitions, and I'd heard that Gabe was thinking about running for school board, and I only knew Gabe as some high school mom who, whose kid plays volleyball or something like that I'd heard from somebody else. So I didn't know Gabe from anybody. And actually, I had to look up Gabe's picture on the internet so that when we met at Luna, I would know who she was. And in that conversation, that summer morning, I said, what's your connection to the schools? Why are you, what are you involved in? Why do you want to run for school board? And this was one of the things that Gabe said to me, the idea of a rename. And it came to me at a really interesting time because my daughter Olivia was recently graduated from Noble and starting Monticello in the fall. For a lot of folks, we say Monty and we say rocks, but words really do mean things. And that conversation with Gabe led me, as I entered into being a parent at Monticello, to have that conversation. I've had this conversation dozens of times with parents, and usually I say, what do you think of our school's name when I bring it up? And the number one response is, what do you mean? Which, to me, given what Gabe just shared, and like I said so beautifully, I think is a real missed opportunity for our community. And so I would also like to continue the conversation. I think this is something that does require a thoughtful process, and I really appreciate the way that Gabe is bringing it to this body for that type of discussion in that way. And I would love to see this get onto a work session where we can actually spend some time having the public conversation and give it the time that it deserves. And so I would love to see that. I know our next work session is already spoken for, but I think that during non-traditional instructional time, over the summer would be a great time, in my view, when we could really lean in and have some of those conversations, and maybe bring in some experts and some people who've gone through the process. This is not a new process that schools have gone through. We wouldn't be inventing the wheel ourselves if we go down this road. So thank you for bringing this, Gabe.
Yeah, I'm on the record, I'm very eager to have this conversation. I think it is just unacceptable to memorialize a slave plantation. And, you know, and certainly our demographics are critical, but I'm not sure they're actually critical in terms of the moral implications of celebrating that. So I'm very eager to have the conversation. I would love to find a way within the context of the conversation to encourage the city to have the same conversation
You took the words
about,
right out of my
about
mouth.
the street.
Yeah.
You know, our schools, the overwhelming majority of our schools are named after the street that they're on. But not all of them are named on the big street, named after the big street that they're on. Fairfax is not Lee. It's named after the side street. And so I think that there may be a model there that we could consider. Monty is at the corner of Monticello and Yellowstone. So it's a conversation that's just really worth having for a lot of right reasons, that is probably as overdue as the name itself to have. So I'm very eager to pursue it, and I'm really appreciative of the thoughtful manner with which you brought it forth. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing it, and thank you for joining the board, both of you, and for bringing this.
So, Dan, you took the words out of my mouth about the street name, and
But we can't control Cleveland Heights, we can only
No, we
control
can't.
us.
We can't. I agree with you. But what I do believe is that we as a school district are better placed to be a leader in this sort of thing than the city is in some ways. I would like to have data. I would like a lot of numbers so that we can go into a conversation clear-eyed, knowing how do we do this?
What type of data?
Basically money, right? What would it cost? How does it affect the district? To change the name, what do we need to do? I don't know what we need to do.
We've done it before, though.
Many districts.
We
have done.
changed Garrity's name
Yep,
from.
and Delisle.
And Delisle, right. And
We
I don't know
don't
what the
have-
process used then was, and I would love to know how it was done before, if that's what we want to do this time round or not, if there's a different process. Again, in order to have the conversation, we need to have information at our fingertips.
Relevant policy.
Well, we don't have a naming policy. Perhaps, Dr. Lombardo, that may be a new policy that
Yeah.
we may need to develop and consider.
Well, it would be the perfect occasion to write a new policy.
We don't have a building name? I thought we had a building name.
We have a policy for
Not a
naming
naming.
spaces for
Oh,
rooms
spaces.
and,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
the basketball court and,
Oh, okay, okay.
but there isn't one for buildings.
And as data is being gathered, I think another thing that would be helpful, I was at a recent Monticello PTA meeting, and there was discussion about, because there had been a lapse in the PTA, as there often are with PTAs, kids move on, so do the parents. And there was discussion about reapplication for tax exempt status, things like that. So there
Oh,
there
the
will
infamous
be.
990, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so making sure that, we've got additional supports when there's, like, I would love to see how we can be supportive of the entire process, not just the purchase of products, but also, a sign, and not all just that stuff, but also organizations within that might need support from a larger organization, us.
Right. Because presumably a name change affects.
The school name.
And everybody in the building
Mhm.
and teams.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah, clubs.
if we were to rename, if and when, can the district, say, pass money to a PTA to pay for that application, like that kind of stuff? I mean, right now they're talking about a $300, who's going to pay for the $300 application? It's that sort of stuff that really does make a difference. And so just some of those kind of questions would be good to bear
I'd like to know from Liz and Scott, is the timeline reasonable? Can this be done in the timeline that you've been asked to do it? Preliminarily, at least?
We could have some preliminary outline, I think. I mean, we have some initial information just from the request when we were a parent that we've gathered, so we should be able to have some preliminary stuff, yeah. But we'll want to do
Thinking
more
so.
detailed follow-up for sure.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I understand the need for cost, to know that, but for something like this, it's truly priceless. So we should do it regardless of what it costs. I mean, we are Tiger Nation, correct? So if there are school uniforms that say Monticello on them, then they should say Heights, like the rest.
Or just
of
have a
the-
big tiger with teeth, right?
Like the rest of the teams. So, but I know for others, talking money and process, you know, it's the way to push it forward. So here we are.
Mr. Gaynor, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Trimble?
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw?
Yes.
Is there any unfinished business? Correspondence, announcements, things we have forgotten? Nope. Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Gaynor?
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Trimble?
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw?
Yes.
Thank you, and good night.